you all to stay the way you are till the day you die. Every last one of you has contributed. Don't sit over here and look. Gary's texting over here. Give me a break, man.
Things have changed.
Yeah. I mudded his house one time. I've never had money because I'm not a materialist, okay? And I traded dental work with him one time. And I went over to his house and we mudded his house together. So he could fix my teeth.
Together.
He did a great job. Thank you so much. I love you all from the bottom of my heart and soul. May Wakan Tonka, Makaina Makaakan, and all the spirits of America bless all of you. Stay the way you are. Do not sell out. For God's sake. We're the last. We're the last. And if these kids don't wake up and get their shit together, God knows what this country's going to be.
Mason Lee, get you, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, the sad thing is, our parents said exactly the same thing.
But they were wrong.
For the only time in their lives, our parents were wrong. Words like Tyrannosaurus Rex, Edsel, and radio newsman come to mind as they all fit together. So before they completely disappear from the earth, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk to another radio newsman. Where is Mike Summers? I saw him here.
There he is.
Come on. I remember when he had curly hair and it wasn't gray. And how many other news guys do we have here that we haven't called yet? How many other news guys? All right, I'm going to take you next.
Hey, Tom, tell them about traffic condition magenta.
Yes. I had, I'll be brief because I can't follow Mason Lee. I had 30 wonderful years in the news business, 12 of them at CNN, and they all started at WAKY, and they all started because of that guy back there, Bob Watson, who deserves a round of applause. Best memory, I think, was when Mason Lee Dixon and I were living together with two strange women out on the Western Highway. And we were heading into Mason's shift at midnight and listening to Weirbeard do his thing and do a great show. And listened to a record end and no Weirbeard. And a minute or two or 5 or 10, and Mason got faster and faster, and we accelerated, going, oh my God, what has happened? Is the place burned down? And then found out later on that Weird had gone to the rear entrance to pick up a banana milkshake from somebody who was dropping one off, and the door closed. And as we entered, we later found out that in fact Weird just calmly walked down to a phone booth and called Johnny and said, Johnny, I've locked myself out. This is great. This has just been a wonderful evening, and I hope it keeps going on. Thanks very much.
Brian, come on up here. Let's continue with that.
Yeah.
Seriously. Right. I came to WKLO in May of 1960. I was 20 years old, and I worked for WKLO for 12 years, which is a pretty long time. During that time, I worked almost every air shift, every news shift, and had almost every job except engineering that you could do in the place. And it was a great experience for me, primarily because I was able to live through the growth of the radio station over that 12-year period and see an awful lot of people come and go. Almost all of them very talented. Most of them went on to do better things. A lot of them went on to WAKY, for example. And that's one of the interesting things about the history of the two stations and this particular gathering that we have here today. We've had several of them before, and I've been able to attend most of them, is that an awful lot of the people that are here now and have been here before worked for both stations. And most of them started at WKLO and then went on to WAKY. John became program director, Bill Chris became program director at WAKY. He also started at WKLO. So a lot of the talent pool that we're celebrating here tonight is a common talent pool between two great radio stations. And it was a tremendous pleasure for me to work at WKLO for 12 years. It's been a tremendous pleasure not to work in radio for the last... I'm not quite sure how many years. And just to put everything into context, 2-3 days ago I celebrated my 73rd birthday. So.
Wow. I want to call these three guys up together because they work kind of at the same time. Barry Steiger, who did news at WKLO, Tim England, who was there from 77 to 79, and ladies and gentlemen, the man who needs no introduction. Well, he does have a name tag on. I thought he was Rip Reinhardt. Come on up here, guys. Come on.
Well, no one here knows me except our table. I worked at I'm a Dick Cavett impersonator. No one knows who Dick Cavett is. I worked at WKLO from December 7th, 1977 until October 5th, my 22nd birthday, 1978. I was a kid on the block. I got my start at WHAS earlier, but as Mason Lee, whom I've never had the pleasure of knowing, but you're so fucking cool. Thank you so much for singing on my age tonight, because there is no way to describe that era, and I was a kid. I've got on the tail end of it. A group of us at WKLO when the movie FM came out, if you remember that. It was a cult film, clearly, since no one knows what it is, but we all went to see it, and it was like, I don't know, it was just special. It was a cult. It was, you can't explain it to anyone, and I shared my life with these guys, and I hadn't planned on saying anything here, but I'm really honored to be with you guys because I'm 56, and I would listen to you guys at my grandmother's house in 1959, and that's what inspired me to get into this business. Thank you very much.
Rip Reinhardt, I worked at WKLO from, I think, 1978 to the end. I was there at the end, and it was just a privilege to be there. As long as I can remember, growing up in Louisville, I wanted to work at either WAKY or KLO when I grew up. Thanks to Gary Vayner over here, I finally made that. So I was part of Other 98 Day, if anybody remembers that. Yeah. Although I didn't get to be on the air, I got to be in a radio station. Somehow or other, I taught my way into hanging out at the Kentucky Home Life Building when Beard was there. And Rich Gimmel may not remember this, but he personally throttled me at one point. That's a treasure. But no great stories to tell. It was just a great time to be in radio, as other people have said. It's still very fortunate to have been there at the time and be part of one of these great institutions. So, thanks very much.
Tim England, I was at WKLO from 1977 through 1979, DJ and as a newsman towards the end. And I think I may be the person who's come the farthest to be here tonight. I came up from near Austin, Texas. Wow. No. I came a long way, and I'll tell you, Ted or John Quincy labeled it as the last reunion. I know there have been a number of these, and I missed them. And I thought, well, heck, this table over here, except for Rip, I haven't seen these guys for 31 years. If it's another 31 that I see them again, we'll all be dead. So I thought I got to come. But I want to echo something that I heard somebody say about Johnny Randolph. We've only had one conversation in all my life, and that was in 1977. I was an undergrad at Western Kentucky University, had a tape and resume. I wanted a job in the big market, Louisville. And I came to your office. You were very gracious. Jerry David Malloy was very gracious. The guy at Wade was very gracious. They gave me time, you know, and listened to my tape and offered encouragement. And you gave me great encouragement that day. Lee Gray, on the other hand, the guy gave ear to me. He said, don't bother to come by. I don't have time for you. I've got a full staff. I'd have to fire somebody if I liked your tape. Don't bother. Well, I'm walking down the street at Muhammad Ali, or as it was then, Walnut, and there's that storefront window, and I go, well, here it is. And I went in, and Jill Carew, she was a receptionist then. I gave her the tape and resume. She said, he's in his office now. You want to go? Oh, no. Anyway, I was fearing this guy, and I dropped the tape off. And when you know, 2 days later, I get a call. I got a job for you. So I did get a break, May of 1977, and Lee turned out to be someone who was a hard ass, but he taught me a lot. I'll give him a lot of credit. And that man right there, too, Gary Major, gave me a lot of encouragement and pushed me along. And to all of you who worked in radio, I did it for about 18 years myself. And then I got into teaching, and that's what I'm doing now, is teaching students about mass communication, about working in broadcasting. So there is still hope out there. I see it. And I want to thank you for the inspiration you gave me, and I hope my students have the inspiration that you did for me. Thank you.
John Quincy said, you know, it's the last reunion like it was the last contest, because we all know the last contest was not the last contest. So, having said that, part of my growing up, part of my internship was being able to stand out on the River City Mall and hand out albums or collect money as cars came by, as I helped the Dude help St. Jude. The first fundraiser I ever did was with John W. Dude Walker standing out on 4th Street when they still let cars on there. And people would come by and put money in the coffee can, and we'd run it in, and that's what we did, a fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Hospital. That was my first involvement with WAKY in 1968. I also went on to be part of WAKY's contests, including the world's largest bottle and can drive. And someone came up with the idea that, hey, we'll measure them and we'll weigh them and then we'll put them in the basement.
That was John Randolph. I was there.
I remember it well because not only did I help take them down, I helped bring them out. I think it was the family of rats that changed everything. It ranks right up there with the turkey drop from WKLP as how to do a contest.
You remember that Todd Hollenbach sent 20 garbage trucks
To come get the garbage.
pick up the stuff. And New Albany High School won with 25.
No, Fern Creek.
23.
Fern Creek.
Fern Creek.
Fern Creek won.
Fern Creek.
Fern Creek, because I went to Seneca and we hated Fern Creek.
Oh.
And I say that with all the affection I can muster. But the reason I bring up contest is because everybody knows the hierarchy. It is general manager, sales manager, program director, all the disc jockeys, the people who clean up the building, and then the promotion director. Because everybody knows how to run a contest, except the person who runs the contest knows. And that's why I want to bring up Penny Whitaker to talk for about 2 minutes. Thank you, because I know you don't want to do this.
No. I have a background in theater, so this doesn't bother me at all. First thing I want to say before we get to contests, WKLO was responsible for my getting into radio. I used to listen to Paul Calais when I was in high school, and then they had a guest disc jockey contest, and that was my first taste of radio. I went to WAKY Radio in 1970, and I was there until 1979. I was continuity director and had the pleasure of being the promotions director. The bottle and can contest was my first major contest there. We had no idea of the response that we would get. It really was overwhelming. And this was long before people really got involved in recycling.
We were green before it was cool.
Exactly, so I'm proud of that. But over the years, we had a lot of contests, and it was always a challenge and fun. But my most favorite memories are my guys, as I like to call them. You know who you are. I love you all, and I thank you for the experience. I went from there to WABG, and I would rather forget those 4 years altogether. So thank you, WAKY, and all my lovely guys. And I'm grateful to be here tonight, all the way from California.